Mexico City feels chaotic at first. Traffic everywhere, layers of buildings from completely different eras, cathedrals next to glass towers, streets that don't quite line up the way you expect. And that's because the city you see today wasn't really planned in the traditional sense. It was inherited. Mexico City sits directly on top of Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, and that city was built on a lake, not beside a lake, on it. The Aztecs constructed artificial islands called chinampas, essentially floating farmland anchored to the lake bed. Causeways connected districts, canals carried goods, and aqueducts brought fresh water. When Spanish conquistadors first arrived in the 1500s, they described a city comparable in size to major European capitals, but cleaner and better organized. Then came the conquest. After defeating the Aztec Empire, the Spanish destroyed much of Tenochtitlan and built their colonial capital directly over it. Instead of adapting to the lake environment, they drained it. That decision shaped the next 500 years. Because the ground underneath Mexico City is still soft lakebed sediment. Every heavy building slowly presses the city downward. In some neighborhoods, the land sinks more than a foot every decade. You can actually see it at the Metropolitan Cathedral in the Central Plaza. Parts of the structure tilt noticeably because the ground beneath it keeps shifting. So Mexico City is literally moving while people live in it. But the city didn't just inherit geography. It inherited culture. Over centuries, indigenous traditions blended with Spanish influence, and later waves of migration added Lebanese, Jewish, and international communities. Modern Mexico City cuisine, music, and art all reflect that layering. It isn't a single cultural identity. It's accumulated history still coexisting in the same neighborhoods. Industrial growth accelerated in the 20th century as the city became the country's economic center. Universities, film studios, and manufacturing expanded rapidly, drawing millions from across Mexico. The result was one of the largest metropolitan populations on Earth. But size created new problems. Water, ironically, became scarce in a city built on a lake. The aquifers supplying the population are overused, which causes even more sinking, a cycle engineers are still trying to solve using modern pumping systems and infrastructure redesigns. And then there are the mysteries. One of the most famous is the disappearance of the poet of the night, Salvador Novo's contemporary, journalist Manuel Buendia, assassinated in 1984 in broad daylight after investigating political corruption. The killing shocked the nation and symbolized tensions between media and power during a volatile era. Yet despite earthquakes, flooding risks, pollution crises, and infrastructure strain, the city continues expanding culturally and economically. Mexico City works the same way it always has, adaptation layered on adaptation. Ancient canals became colonial streets. Colonial streets became modern avenues. Ancient farmland districts became neighborhoods with millions of residents. So when you walk through Mexico City, you're not just moving across distance, you're moving across time. A capital built on a civilization that never completely disappeared. And that might be why the city feels so alive. It hasn't replaced its past. It's still standing on it. Like and subscribe for more. C-Bus Pana out.